26,000 votes just dropped in Los Angeles, California. 0 went to the Republican. 0. Like, not one. Not a rounding error. Not a whoopsie, we accidentally spilled a box of ballots and they all landed on the Democrat. 0. As in the same number of honest elections that California has run in the last decade. Absolutely 0. But here's the part that's going to make your head explode. And I mean that in the best possible way, of course. The Democrat who is supposedly surging back from the dead to steal this race, she already conceded. Nithya Raman looked Spencer Pratt dead in the eyes, packed her bags, called her mom, and said, "Mom, we lost. 4 days later, abracadabra, 26,000 mystery ballots materialized out of California's thin air, and somehow, magically, impossibly, every single one of those ballots lands in her column. Not a few, not most, every single one. Even she knew she lost. Somebody forgot to tell the ballots, though, or maybe somebody told the ballots exactly what to do, and that is precisely the problem. And so while California was busy pulling off the most embarrassingly obvious magic trick in the history of American politics, President Donald J. Trump, and of course the entire DOJ, they were not sleeping. Oh no, they weren't out golfing. They were watching, recording, building, because this isn't just about one city council member in Los Angeles. No, this is about California, Oregon, Washington, every blue state that has been stonewalling federal voter roll audits, all of them waddling in single file directly into a federal legal trap that is so perfectly constructed that, well, they're going to be writing about it in the history books. So guys, today we're going to expose every single piece of it, the charts that don't lie, the concession that was somehow unconceded, the homeless voters on Skid Row who never saw their ballots, the gym membership cards, guys, the gym membership cards being used as voter ID. Oh my God, you can't even make this stuff up. The U.S. attorney who walked through California's election office door and said, "Hold on just a moment." Yeah, all of it, guys. Every last embarrassing detail. And before we dive in, guys, if you have not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because the mainstream media will never show you what we're about to show you on today's video. They're just too busy looking the other way and calling it journalism. And if you are still with us by the end of the video, and trust me, guys, you absolutely will be sure to smash the like button on the way out. It drives the algorithm absolutely wild. And I love driving the algorithm wild. And honestly, so does California. So before we get any further, one more thing. If you or someone you love needs free Medicare help, our friends at Chapter make the whole thing super simple, stress-free, and completely free of charge. Unlike California elections and California taxes, this one is actually transparent. Click the link in the description down below or dial the phone number to reach my friends at Chapter right here. The average senior is saving about $1,100 a year. I don't know anybody who don't like saving money. So guys, we need to start with the number that nobody in mainstream media wants to talk about. 26,000 votes, okay? Dropped in a single batch after Election Day. And the breakdown, Nithya Raman, votes. Karen Bass, votes. Spencer Pratt, the Republican, 0, literally 0. I mean, now listen, guys, I am not a mathematician. I'm not a statistician, but I did go to school. I went to school. I promise I did. And I'm pretty sure that in any natural vote count across tens of thousands of ballots, the odds of one candidate receiving literally 0 votes is not just unlikely. It is statistically absurd. I mean, you got a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice on a sunny day while indoors, while wearing like your kids' floaties, like that kind of odds of impossibility here. And yet here we are. The charts don't lie. Every single new ballot drop, Raman surges, Pratt plummets, Bass sits there completely flat like she's asleep at the wheel. And somehow we're supposed to just nod along and say, yep, totally normal, carry on. No, absolutely not, guys. Now, here's something that should stop you cold. Nithya Raman already conceded. 4 days before these ballots started magically appearing, she stood up and she said, in her own words, Spencer Pratt won. She acknowledged it. She accepted it. The race was over. And then, abracadabra, suddenly she's surging? Really? Suddenly she's about to overtake him? Even Raman knew Pratt won. Let that sink in, guys. The candidate herself had already packed her bags, and now somebody somewhere decided the luggage needed to be unpacked, and the ballots needed to keep coming in. And somehow they all keep landing in one place. Now, this is not a recount. This is not a close race tightening up. This is a conceded candidate that's being resurrected by ballot drops that follow a pattern this is a conceded candidate being resurrected by ballot drops that follow a pattern so obvious, it's almost insulting. I mean, they're not even trying to be subtle anymore.
Now to L.A. mayoral candidate Nithya Raman.
Karma Dickerson is live in downtown L.A. for us with her campaign. Karma.
Yes, we're here at Boomtown Brewery. It's been a party all night. It's finally starting to wind down just a little bit. The crowd's starting to thin, but for the most part, we've seen a packed dance floor. And really, when Nithya Raman went to the stage and thanked everybody and talked about celebrating, she really said, okay, we're going to end this night with a party. They said there's a lot of votes left to count. Now, while Nithya Raman is down so far in the vote count, you wouldn't know that from the spirit of the room and from the tone of the discussion. They really are saying that they are going to wait it out. As we know, this was an 11th hour candidacy, and up until at least early returns tonight, it did look like Raman was neck and neck with her two contenders, or with the two top contenders, I should say. Here's a listen to some of the things she had to say. She started with an emotional tribute to her children.
To my family, thank you to my Appa and Amma, Venkat and Sudha. You brought me to this country from India when I was a little girl. You sacrificed everything for me and Akash so that we could have every opportunity available to us. And you continue to sacrifice for us every single day. To my husband, Vali. I don't know where he is. There is no one in this world I trust more. You've been my steady hand through every single moment of this. I wouldn't have done any of this without you. And to my 10-year-old twins, Karna and Kaveri, I've been a candidate for something as long as you can remember. And you've had to live through it with me. And you've been so patient through all of it. Thank you. Karna and Kaveri, I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in this city.
And so while the tone tonight certainly was celebration and it was the tone of a victory party, let's be clear, this is very much a wait-and-see effort from the campaign. We can see the candidate there herself talking, smiling. We saw a lot of dancing tonight. Things finally starting to wind down. I believe their hopes are still high, but of course looking very closely at those numbers. Reporting live, Karma Dickerson, NBC4 News.
So now, look at the chart again here, guys, okay? Seriously, look at the chart. Karen Bass, 35% flat. Completely, perfectly, eerily flat. Like a heart monitor on a ghost, right? Tens of thousands of new ballots are coming in, and Bass doesn't even move. Not up, not down, just a perfectly flat line cutting across the screen like somebody drew it with a ruler. Now think about that, right? In a real organic vote count, every candidate would move to some degree. Every batch shifts the numbers at least slightly. That's just math. That's just how counting works. But Bass, frozen, locked in place, while Raman skyrockets and Pratt craters. So one candidate is perfectly still, one is surging impossibly fast, and the other one's fallen off of a cliff. And we're supposed to believe that this is all just California being California?
In the case of Pratt, who also is now, we're seeing, ballots coming back. Nithya Raman, she actually conceded a few days ago, like 4 days ago, and now suddenly she's up.
Yeah, and these keep tightening. And what we're told is, listen, a lot of these are mail-in ballots. They're going to come in later. Those tend to be more progressive. And apparently people held on to them to the last minute, California says. And again, California mails ballots to every single eligible voter out there. And so you've got millions of people who may be sitting on them. We don't know if they're coming back. So there's a lot of uncertainty built into this stuff with California. And by the way, the Supreme Court, we're waiting on an opinion from them about how long you can actually accept ballots in mail-in ballots after Election Day.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So might impact this.
That involve two words, the second of which is day. Labor Day, Memorial Day, George Washington's birthday, Independence Day, birthday, and Election Day. And they're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase Election Day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place, or almost everything.
But if you have to have a deadline, which you acknowledged, and if having a deadline of November 3rd rather than November 10th for receipt doesn't disenfranchise anyone, why wouldn't it make more sense to take account in some respect of that concern as we think about how the text and history fit together?
Well, I think, something that Congress was clearly, trying to do was adopting a simple rule in this text. And I think a very simple rule is everybody must cast their ballot by Election Day. I mean, that's quite administrable. I mean, if you have an Election Day ballot receipt deadline, there are certainly things to commend that. I think you're alluding to some of those, Justice Kavanaugh. But there's also a question of, when do I vote? I'm not sure, do I need to do it 7, whatever it is. Whereas, if somebody wants to get all the information possible, they like voting on Election Day, you have a pretty nice, clear, simple rule, and that seems to dovetail quite well.
Well, the simple rule, but if it arrives on November 11th, you're out.
Right, but I think that's kind of baked into the risks you always get when you're doing, there are always some risks, regrettably, with mail-in voting.
Why can't you just say the election is this date? If your ballot's not in by this date, it's done.
Take the day off for work, have it, make it a holiday.
Absolutely.
Or if you're going to use a mail-in, just at least come up with a cutoff window. In some places, it's, we're just going to give it a good faith presumption if we can't tell the postmark on it, that kind of thing. I think for a lot of people, red, blue, whatever, wherever you are, they just want to think our votes are clean.
And also to make sure you keep your voter rolls clean, because if you're sending ballots to people who haven't lived in the state in a long time, then that just raises all kinds of opportunities for mischief.
Yeah, like I said, if you're mailing them out to millions of voters, whether they want them or not, whether they still live there, whether they're still alive, if there are people who want to get up to no good, you would think they're going to try to find ways to do that. And they have, also drop boxes there that are not the postal service.
Right.
Why have drop boxes separate from the postal service? You're going to go to the effort to, drop something in a drop box. Why not just mail it? I don't know. I mean, I think, a lot of questions.
Hey, real quick, guys, before we go any further, if you know somebody who still thinks California elections are clean and fair, send them this video right now, not later, right now, because what's coming next in this breakdown is going to completely change how they see all of this. Share it. Let's go, guys. All right, so we need to talk about how you actually register to vote in California, okay? Because this part is equal parts hilarious and also infuriating at the same time. Yeah, they managed to do both. So in California, and California, trust me, I've been to California a few times. Beautiful places. I mean, it's just been ruined over the last several years, but California is a beautiful state, and that's what's the sad part about it. If you are a first-time voter and you don't have a driver's license or a social security number, you can register using, and I really want you to hear this, guys, a gym membership card, an employer ID, a credit card, a prescription drug label, or an insurance card. A prescription drug label, guys. I don't know where you go to the gym. I don't know if you go to LA Fitness or Gold's Gym or Planet Fitness with the purple stuff everywhere. You can literally go register to vote in California with a piece of paper that tells you to take 2 pills with food. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up, guys. So here's where it gets even better. California provides free healthcare coverage to undocumented immigrants, which means undocumented immigrants have insurance cards, which means undocumented immigrants have one of the accepted forms of ID to register to vote in California. You cannot make this stuff up, guys. You genuinely cannot do it. So this one is not a theory. This one is a federal guilty plea. A California woman was federally charged and pleaded guilty to paying homeless people on LA's Skid Row to register to vote. Cash money, sign here, you're a voter now. Now, here's the thing about being a registered voter in California. The moment you're registered, the state automatically mails you a ballot. Every single registered voter gets one. No questions asked. Except the homeless man on Skid Row isn't exactly checking his mailbox every morning. He doesn't have a mailbox. He's got a tent. And by the time the ballot arrives, somebody else already knows where it's going. It gets harvested, it gets used, and somewhere in Los Angeles, a vote gets cast in the name of a man who has no idea it even happened. This is not a conspiracy theory. A judge heard it. A woman pleaded guilty to it, and it's happening at large scale, guys. Now, speaking of scale, let's talk about ballot harvesting, shall we? Because California, they didn't just allow it. California perfected this sucker. In fact, in most states, the idea of a third party collecting your completed ballot and submitting it for you raises enormous flags. Because once the ballot leaves your hands, you have absolutely no way of knowing what even happens to it. Did it get submitted? Did it get altered? Did it get thrown in a dumpster because you voted for the wrong person? Who would know, right? California says it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Collect it anyway. And with virtually zero restrictions on who can collect, how many they can collect and how they actually track the chain of custody, you have essentially built a perfect system for anyone who wants to introduce fraudulent ballots at scale with almost no accountability. It's not a loophole. At this point, this is basically a highway. It's like the 405. So for over a year, guys, the Department of Justice has been asking California to hand over its voter rolls. Federal law is clear. The Attorney General has the explicit legal authority to review state voter files to confirm that only eligible U.S. citizens are participating in federal elections. That's not a gray area. This is not up for debate. It is the law. California's response? No. Their excuse, state privacy laws block the review. Except, and this is the part that California apparently hoped nobody would notice, those privacy laws, they don't apply to the federal government in this context. The DOJ said so. Legal scholars said so. And a federal court is currently saying so as well. So why is California fighting so hard to keep those records closed? If everything is clean and above board, go ahead and open your books. Show the work. Let the audit happen. What exactly are they afraid of that people might find? So Trump doesn't just talk, he acts. So while the ballots were mysteriously appearing and Pratt's numbers were still mysteriously cratering, a United States attorney under direct directive from President Donald J. Trump physically showed up at Los Angeles County Election Office. So he walks through the door, looked them in the eyes, and started inspecting operations in person. This is not a letter. This is not some strongly worded statement. This is a federal officer standing inside the building where the counting is happening and saying, "We are watching you." And simultaneously, the DOJ filed a formal lawsuit against the state of California in federal court. So the case is now sitting in front of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So the same court that California is counting on to protect them. That brings us to the trap here. Now, before we get to the trap, you need to see what happened on NBC. Trump sat down for an interview in Wisconsin. The reporter pushed back on his election fraud claims, asked for evidence. Trump pointed at the California results happening in real time. The reporter said, "That ain't evidence." And Trump said, and I'm paraphrasing here, guys, "You're either stupid or you're crooked." Then he stood up and he walked out mid-interview in Wisconsin after the reporter traveled through the rain just to get here. Now, look, guys, was it dramatic? Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing. Trump wasn't wrong about the underlying point. When you show someone a chart where 26,000 votes drop and 0 go to one candidate, and then they ask you for evidence, at some point the conversation's got to be over. And Trump just went ahead and ended it. So
what they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
All right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But let me ask you about Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about Todd Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk about Todd Blanche.
There's tremendous evidence. There's nothing but evidence. The election was rigged. It was a dirty election. And it's happening again right now in California.
Presented evidence.
It's happening right now in California. Right now, it's look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4 days.
The Republicans are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days. And they aren't even close to coming up with it.
That's how they count the votes in California.
You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
All I have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
That's not evidence.
And I listen to people, and let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in California.
Do you think it's appropriate that they have an election, and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a winner?
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well,
continue.
You play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play right into their hands with this trap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that?
Presented
because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd Blanche.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk about
your elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain. and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview. I spoke with President Trump on Saturday, and we both acknowledged the complications during the interview posed by the rain.
Here's where everything comes together. Pay attention, guys, because this is the part California completely missed. Every irregular ballot drop, every suspicious chart, every refusal to comply with the federal audit, every ballot harvesting operation, every homeless voter registered with someone else's agenda in mind, Trump's DOJ is collecting all of it, not just to expose California, but to build the legal case currently sitting in front of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Because if the DOJ wins this case, and the evidence being gathered right now in Los Angeles makes this case significantly stronger, it doesn't just apply to California. Oregon, Washington, and every blue state that has refused to turn over their voter rolls gets pulled into this thing. I mean, you topple one, you topple them all. It's kind of like dominoes. Nationally sweeping legal precedent forcing every non-compliant state to open their records for federal review. California thought that they were protecting themselves. They're actually building Trump's case for him, ballot by suspicious ballot. So here's where California stands right now. A federal lawsuit is active. A U.S. attorney has been inside the building. A guilty plea for voter registration fraud is already on record. The Ninth Circuit is reviewing a case that could blow open every blue state's voter roll simultaneously. And the entire country right now is watching a chart that shows 26,000 votes going to a single candidate with zero going to the other. And California's response to all of this, keep counting, keep blocking, keep fighting the audit. This is the most expensive political mistake that California has made in a generation, because the more that they resist, the stronger Trump's case gets. The more they stonewall, the more evidence piles up. And when that Ninth Circuit ruling comes down, oh, and it's coming, guys, there will be nowhere left to hide. They thought nobody was watching. The DOJ was watching everything. And now the whole country is too.